And we are back to your usual routine, and because I have just landed in the UK, hence why I look so tired, you don't need to say anything, thought it was time to take the entire WrestleMania 41 weekend and break it down like D-Generation X. Because genuinely, in terms of trying to sum it up, you kind of do need to have the Raw after WrestleMania because it has become such a big show. I know that some people say, oh, what about the SmackDown after WrestleMania? It's like 6 days away or 5 days away. By the time you get there, I understand there's always a tie-in. That's why having a show on a Tuesday or a Wednesday after a pay-per-view is better than having it on a Friday because wrestling just moves on at such a speed, you kind of forget everything that does happen. But I mean, if we go through that Raw, you had the Rusev debut, you had the Becky Lynch heel turn, you had Seth Rollins' new group. If we go on by Instagram, he may be calling it Control. If he does do that, I'm going to start making Control damage jokes, which I shouldn't do. But even then, with all the good stuff that WWE did do, and there is some exciting stuff, I mean, Rusev returning is the greatest thing to happen since 1946. The Rock is still hanging over this entire show. He went on Pat McAfee's show too, and he spoke about a bunch of stuff. Now listen, we don't know what's real, what's not real, what's true, what's not true, unless you were a fly on the wall or literally Ari Emanuel or Dwayne Johnson or Triple H or Cody Rhodes or whoever, we don't know. But what I am going to say is looking at it from a fan perspective and looking at the main event, especially John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, I love the dynamic. I love the noise. I love John Cena being a heel, even though all he did was punch, kick, and do double axe handles. But it was so unique and so different, I got something from it. But of course, the thing we're never going to be able to get away from is Travis Scott being there is fine, as long as The Rock is fine. But Travis Scott being there by himself, well, it's just, I mean, put it like this. Anytime a celebrity gets involved in a major finish like that, much like Jon Stewart did back in SummerSlam, it is always going to raise a lot of eyebrows just because they are not a quote-unquote proper wrestler, and quite clearly it's mostly been done for mainstream headlines. That's why when you do have a celebrity involvement, it always makes more sense to do it in the mid-card because then you do find that happy balance. If you're a hardcore fan, you're like, oh, well, I can handle that, I understand what we're doing. And if you are the sort of mainstream person that comes in, you get to see your favorite or your hero or your idol, whoever it may be, but they're kind of not taking over the show. So everybody wins, especially because those people are probably only going to see it in headline form. Now, sorry to interrupt you, but there is one thing I wanted to talk about because I haven't talked about it here properly on my channel, but I did talk about it on Ups and Downs. I am inspired by WrestleMania weekend. So we have now set a goal for me, which makes no sense. I've set a goal for me. We are going into manifestation mode, which often I don't do because I think it can become obnoxious, but who cares, man? We're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Within 12 months, this bald a-hole is going to not get a full-time contract or anything like that. I am just going to feature in a proper big American promotion on American soil or British soil. Either is fine, but I need your help to do it. So go and tweet and Instagram and just make a lot of noise. Let's see if we can do this together. Sound good? Great. And I mean, a few people have said they didn't expect The Rock, but a large majority literally said during the last few minutes, everyone just sat and watched the aisleway or the entranceway, waiting for The Rock's music to hit. And there was a guy in front of me, because obviously I was lucky enough to be there, who basically held his phone and pointed it at that hole for around about the last 10 minutes of that match, because once again, he wanted to capture The Rock coming out. Now, The Rock has talked about this and said he didn't think it was needed. And there is a conversation to be had here. I only fall on one side. I believe you only fall on one side. So it's just really weird. The whole thing is so strange. But yeah, I think it does mean that Travis Scott being the person to help John Cena defeat Cody Rhodes, we're never going to be able to get past that. It needed the third person just because based on what we did at the Elimination Chamber. And there are some other speculations out there that maybe John Cena was always going to turn heel, but we were going to save it until WrestleMania. And now in hindsight, I can say I think that would have been the better way to do it, because then you can set up the match that it is John Cena struggling to beat Cody Rhodes. You can tie into the whole you can't wrestle thing. Cody is out wrestling John, which is why he starts to go heel, which is why he reveals Tina the Turnbuckle, which is why he used the title, which is why he kicks him right in the balls. And if we'd done it that way, then The Rock wouldn't have had to have been there at all. Travis Scott definitely wouldn't have needed to be there. It literally would have been the two biggest stars, you can argue, in wrestling right now going at it. And when you get to the, I'm just making up numbers here, but the 10+ minute mark, John is like, man, I have to win that 17th world title. I already know that my record is terrible, because that was a story point of view we kind of move away from now. He hasn't won a singles match for about 76 years. To the point when he would have eventually, I would imagine, booted Cody right in the balls and then smashed him with the belt, because he wouldn't have done the heel turn then. The finish wouldn't have felt lame and wouldn't have had an award-winning artist on the outside. Everybody would have been like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And then there's almost a poetic entity, that's not the right word at all, but there was a certain poetic nature to John Cena winning his 17th World Championship without an AA that once again he would have done around about 76 times in order to establish the fact that Cody keeps kicking out, and it was of course cheating which allowed him to do it. Now, in my strange world, which doesn't matter because what do I know? I couldn't even keep my head. That is what I believe WWE had planned, and then whatever happened with The Rock happened. Maybe Ari Emanuel did call him and said, listen, can you come in for those 2 shows? And if that is the case, then yeah, that's a wishy-washy thing to do, and we probably shouldn't have done it. But that is the major takeaway that I think we're going to be talking about for a while. I just think if people are going to come in and we are going to lean on what we expect from pro wrestling based on what we've seen before, then yes, The Rock should have been at WrestleMania. He hasn't been at WrestleMania. You know how I take in wrestling. I love it, and I couldn't be more involved in pro wrestling if I tried. It was as if wrestling has thrown up on me. But I'm not going to get mad about it. I'm not going to get upset about it. I do think it was the incorrect thing to do, but we move on, and it's definitely going to have an asterisk over that match for the entirety of the rest of our lives. And really, when you take this entire WrestleMania as a weekender, like I did enjoy it. I had a good time, a big smile on my face. I was cheering, I was laughing. Of course, I got to do all the live shows, and thank you to everyone that came to those as well. But I guess if you're going to put your critical hat on, and I do have a big head, this kind of felt like the first weekender where you were like, man, maybe we could have thrown some of the filler away and kind of condensed it into one amazing 4.5 hour show, and that would have tickled the boxes. But actually, that goes back to what I just said. Think about how the main event ended on night 1. If the main event of night 2 had ended the way we had just gone through it, maybe we wouldn't even be talking about it like now. But you have to deal with the facts that are on the table. And speaking about Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, I mean, absolutely the best story match of the weekend by a mile, and one that tied directly into Raw. So, I mean, you could put this maybe at the very top in terms of execution, because obviously Seth Rollins aligns himself with Paul Heyman. That's awesome. We were expecting it, but it worked. CM Punk is now sad. Roman Reigns is now sad. Then Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman come out on Raw. CM Punk tries to get revenge. Nope. Roman Reigns tries to get revenge. Nope. Because Braun Breaker has joined. Now we're probably going to do that tag team match at Backlash, which is excellent. And of course they're going to lose CM Punk and Roman Reigns because Paul Heyman's group adds a third guy. Who's it going to be? Some people have said it could be a Becky Lynch. Absolutely. Some people have said Jeff Cobb because he's coming from New Japan. Absolutely. Why can't you add both? Like, people keep comparing this to Evolution, as did I. I do think that's deliberate. But Paul Heyman and Ric Flair are very different entities, because Ric Flair was wrestling loads for Evolution. Paul Heyman obviously is not going to wrestle at all. That would be really, really weird. So maybe if you do want 4 people who are wrestling, you could have a Jeff Cobb and a Becky Lynch. But those seeds absolutely make it a win in terms of WrestleMania weekend, because, you know, the Seth Rollins heel turn was good, and then we carried it on in a great way. Like Braun Breaker losing his Intercontinental title, which was another great match, and instantly being back in the fold at a different level, that's just smart booking. So yeah, I really do think those kind of individuals had the best 4 days going back to SmackDown, and Seth Rollins cut that amazing promo on SmackDown. He may be the MVP of the entire 4 days, Seth Rollins. I can't think of anyone who did better work than him, and also absolutely smashed it at WrestleMania. So right now, we'll give him the MVP unless I think of somebody else. But I want to see what Braun Breaker is going to do now. Again, he was totally protected in that 4-way. We also continued on the stuff with the Judgment Day, because of course it was Dominic Mysterio pinning Finn Balor. Quite clearly, nobody is filling in Finn when it comes to the Judgment Day, because JD McDonough then returns on Raw, and Finn's like, what's going on? Don't know why he's Italian now, but he just is. I will say, I hope we pull the trigger on this soon. I don't think we need to stretch out the Judgment Day stuff any longer. I think Finn Balor should be a face again. It's time. Let's actually do something with the demon that is good and not turn him into a sort of 2D cartoon character. And given that Dominic Mysterio kept talking about the fact, oh my gosh, we need to recruit somebody, and that he is the major champion of the group, once he kicked out Finn, maybe he can bring somebody else as well. So yeah, Dominic Mysterio is absolutely a guy up there too. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Now, going back through what people have said, because this is obviously me with my social media brain intact, some people did not like, well, they thought it was a little bit wishy-washy, the Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Becky Lynch, and Lyra Valkyria match, mostly because Becky Lynch got such a good reaction that everyone was just like, oh, we'd like to watch the tag team match. I've watched sort of highlights back on television, because of course I haven't seen the televised version of WrestleMania yet. Maybe it was just put in the wrong place, maybe it was more of a day 1 match. Of course, Becky Lynch and Lyra winning at first, maybe people go, I can't believe that Becky Lynch did that. Saw some people comparing her to Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 9, which feels a bit extreme. But even if that was the case, it then ties into what we did on Raw. So that was very, very well done too. I mean, I've been saying, I think back in January, I was pushing for a Becky Lynch-Lyra Valkyria feud, just because they have the past and we have to do something with this Women's Intercontinental Championship. I do not like the fact that even if it was only for 24 hours, the IC Championships and the Tag Team Championships were merged into one. But again, as I sit here on Wednesday, the 23rd of April, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are the champions again. They're so good. They have such good chemistry. They just keep getting better and better. And we have to come up with some teams and we have to throw it into the machine. Like we really, really, really do, because we don't want to miss the mark on this. And I kind of feel like the tag team scene in general in WWE keeps going all over the place. I mean, the TLC SmackDown tag match is on Friday this week, which is a shame because you want to see those matches at WrestleMania. But Liv and Raquel have something here. And I still hope, especially because that WWE Unreal series is coming out soon. And in the trailer, you can see variations of the WrestleMania card, and at one point it was meant to be the Judgment Day versus the Wyatt Six, so it's already there. We know who the Judgment Day are, so let's have them against the Wyatt Six or Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. So I said that for a while as well. That was my prediction, and I would like to see it. And we don't know what Bianca Belair is going to do, but of course Rhea Ripley was on Raw and she stared down Io Sky after all the NXT women came up too, and Io and Stephanie Vaquer had that amazing match. And yes, in terms of the in-ring, the Rhea Ripley Bianca Belair Io Sky match, absolutely pure fire. I mean, nothing even comes close to it in terms of what they did bell to bell. And some people are saying it's one of the best opening WrestleMania matches ever. I mean, the only thing that comes close to me is Brett versus Owen, and they're so different. But I actually think you could take it one step above all that. Could you not call it one of the best opening matches ever, period? I kind of think so. Like, it was so well done. It was so well executed. Even though they are three of the best talents in the world, that doesn't mean they were going to gel together as well as they did do. But they did do that. Some of the kickouts, the near falls, and quite funny, because the finish of this was actually the exact same thing as the finish of the Fatal 4-Way, although the 4-Way obviously had a bit of a twist because there was more story in that with the Judgment Day. But I am excited to see what Bianca Belair is going to do on Friday. So I guess essentially that's done its job. And I do want to see Rhea versus Io again, obviously. But I think Bianca Belair now kind of needs to interject back into the Jade Cargill Naomi stuff. And listen, I like that match, but I think it's fair to say, once again, as we do sit here, has kind of been lost in the shuffle. I don't really know why that is. It could be, once again, because we have a weekend's worth of WrestleMania matches. And after a while, there's only so much information your brain can have. And actually, they did a really good job. And the finish was awesome with that spinning powerbomb Jaded. That's why I think Naomi winning may have been a better idea. I think it would have lasted longer in people's memories. And that kind of ties into the New Day versus War Raiders tag team thing as well. I love the New Day winning, but the follow-up on Raw kind of made it, I don't really get what's going on. Now listen, for me personally, it was awesome, because this is when Rusev interrupted, the New Day run away, and he beat up Alpha Academy, which led some people to go, oh, why has he come back to feud with Alpha Academy? Probably just going to kill him. Let Rusev kill people for ages, and he should go after an IC championship before too long as well. And look, if Dominic Mysterio is going to be a face, and Rusev's going to be a heel, you could do that, although I think Finn Balor will probably win it, and then it'll be Rusev, but we'll have to wait and see. But it's difficult for me to talk about it, because Rusev coming back is one of the favorite things that's happened of the entire year. That's how much I love that guy. But once again, going back to the critical side of things, I don't want the tag team titles to get lost, and they've absolutely been lost in terms of what we remember on Saturday. And then we didn't do any kind of a follow-up. Like, that was one of the reasons that the Jey Uso thing on Raw was funny to me. I get it. I really like Jey Uso versus Gunther. People are still messaging me going, Simon, you're too kind. I'm not kind. What do you think I am? These are inanimate objects, essentially. No one's going to get hurt. No one's going to be like, I can't believe Simon Miller said that. I'm not that important, as much as I would like to be. But wrestling is very simple in my brain sometimes. Gunther was the bad guy. Jey Uso was the good guy. I wanted Jey to win, especially because given Rusev had come back, if we had done that kind of treatment, when Rusev Day was as over as Rover, he now probably would have been a former world heavyweight champion, and my life would be 10 times better. The only thing I didn't get about it, although I have been called out for this, which is fair, is that I wanted there to be a cut and dry challenger. But at first I thought that was going to be Seth, but of course he's now going to be taken up in this tag team match, and it's not going to be a Drew McIntyre because he's on SmackDown. So I suppose kind of leaving it open is the right thing to do, although on Raw it was heavily hinted that Sami Zayn may be the guy to go after it, and that's interesting, because I don't think Sami's going to turn heel. But given that Jey Uso has become the champion, and given that Sami could say, you do know a big reason for this is me, and ever since I did enter the bloodline, maybe we are going to do a Shades of Grey feud, and I do think Sami Zayn will probably be the world champion in 2025, which is also awesome. But again, in terms of making you feel warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum, how nice is it to have 3/5 of the bloodline dancing around? So in terms of 1-2 punch good, I'm never going to be mad about the villain bad guy Gunther tapping out. I know there's 1,000 counterpoints to this, and I've heard them all, and I think it's a great chat, apart from the ones that go too far. But for me, it's like watching Aladdin being like, oh man, I can't believe Jafar didn't shoot Aladdin right in the head at the end of the movie. It's like, no, he's Jafar, and he had to be turned into a genie and trapped in a lamp. It's a weird ending. I don't know what Disney was thinking of, but yeah, sure, maybe there's a slight anticlimactic nature to it, but I also think it's totally surreal to see Jey Uso with the World Championship. So I think that comes out in a good place, mostly because I don't think he's going to hold it that long. I think Jey is going to sacrifice himself for the greater good, much like Jimmy did. And as for Gunther, man, He doesn't waste any time. He chokes out Pat McAfee, and Joe Tessitore and Michael Cole do commentary. I admit, this is how jet-lagged I've been, or tired I've been. I was like, well, maybe it's going to be Wade Barrett. Of course, Pat McAfee wrestles. But Pat McAfee also lost to Vince McMahon. Now, I understand that's not really how wrestling works, but Gunther needs a big win coming out of this. So when we do Pat McAfee versus Gunther, I don't expect it to go more than 32 seconds, and I expect Gunther to absolutely murder him. Of course, it could tie into the Goldberg match. That would be a weird storyline. But also, if Wade Barrett is trying to stick up for the commentators, I don't know. The cool thing here is I want to know what Gunther is going to do. He doesn't feel lessened at all, even though he lost the World Championship. And the "you tapped out" chants are always good. He can play up to that. He will be the world champion again before a year. So that's a massive success story. Again, to do the job in order to see if Jey Uso can hang at that level. And I totally think he can, but we need to see it in action. And then not even to miss a beat 48 hours later. That guy is just a dude. Like, he really is. He's the absolute best. And it's hard to talk about Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton right now because, of course, they're not Raw people. They're SmackDown people. But the reports are out there that they did just smash each other right in the face. I have gone back and watched this one just because I was so intrigued about it. I really like it because we did a video about this on What Culture Wrestling. Please subscribe to me. It's right down there somewhere. And please subscribe to them as well to get all of my content that I will bore you with until the cows come home. But it's just, once again, it just proves that as long as everybody is agreed of what the plan is, you can go out there and do it. You can go out there and play chess, and there'll be somebody like me going, this is the greatest professional wrestling match I've ever seen. Because, wrestling isn't always necessarily fit into a little bit of a box. But I don't know whether we're going to carry on that feud. So that's something I need to see as well. It's going to be interesting. Logan Paul versus AJ Styles. I even said this on Ups and Downs was, I wouldn't even call it a letdown or a disappointment. It was just there. This is absolutely one that kind of highlights we do not need 2 nights of WrestleMania. Listen, I think AJ Styles is one of, if not the greatest wrestler of all time. So it's nothing to do with that. Sometimes things just don't click, and this didn't click. And actually, Randy Orton now squashing, as people keep saying, Joe Hendry, that to challenge for the WWE title against John Cena. That kind of is a nice little stepping stone. I mean, Randy could have done it anyway. I haven't really said that, but if you need to enter that kayfabe frame, you can. I mean, my take on the Joe Hendry thing is I don't think he's been buried. I don't think he's been squashed. I think he's taken his career and he's thrown it up about 42 places. The guy's made. He's going to be in WWE at some point. I understand that people don't like it when you say, but it's a moment. But I watch wrestling for moments. Like, I would much rather be somebody that gets a surprise entrance at WrestleMania in front of 60,000 people and gets a mega pop and then lose, then wins a bunch of meaningless matches and nobody cares and nobody connects. People love Joe Hendry. I can't even imagine the amount of merchandise money he must have weighed. And he turned up on NXT. So this has been well thought out too. And he was going after Trick Williams and over Febby. So I think that is a huge win, an absolutely huge tick. Again, I do want to see Randy Orton versus John Cena. Shout out to the people that keep messaging me going, but Simon, nobody wants to see it. I do. So even if the only person, great. It means I'm about to have the best time. I don't think it's going to be the best match in the world. I think it's going to have the most super duper shenanigan finishy ever. But I just want nostalgia because I'm getting old and that can remind me of my childhood. And sometimes that's all that I need, especially for one day in St. Louis. I'll be able to handle that. So really coming out and giving the promo that John Cena cut on Raw, which I thought was his best one as a heel yet. John Cena is certainly walking around smelling of roses. I don't know what we're going to do with Cody. Some people are like, oh my gosh, he's going to get booed. Does it matter if he gets booed? I don't think so. As long as management doesn't fight it, we come up with the plan, we can do those things. But that's another one we do have to put on hold. Talked about Dominic Mysterio being a hero. We can't really talk about Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight, but we're going to get that one right. I mean, Jacob Fatu is brilliant. So I suppose LA Knight is the, not worry, that's too strong, but I hope that WWE has a plan for LA Knight because we don't want him to get dropped because it's just really good. Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest is the same. Saw somebody call that a generic street fight, which I think is way unfair. I thought the first 3 matches on day 2 were really good. Like, I really liked them all. And as long as there is a plan for Drew, which may be going after Cody, then we have used WrestleMania. In that sense, you can argue that WrestleMania was a bit weird because a lot of it did feel like not a season closer and a season opener the next night on Raw. It kind of felt like some stories are going to stick together. But as long as it works, I think that's the main thing, as long as the plans are in place. And El Grande Americano versus Rey Fenix, I mean, shrug emoji. It wasn't even meant to be Rey Fenix. It was meant to be Rey Mysterio, who also apparently was going to get a super fun mega special entrance. So we just have to wait and see. Again, I'd love to give you more, but I don't really have more for you. This is a little bit odd. So yeah, overall, I think it was a good WrestleMania, and the Raw as well, and the SmackDown beforehand. But forgive me if I've already said this, I don't think it's a WrestleMania that many of us, or at least I, will not go back to watching its entirety. But there are elements that I will pull from it. Again, the women's triple threat match, absolutely. Jacob for 2 versus Ellen Knight, absolutely. And the night 1 main event. And there'll be some other matches. Obviously, I don't want to go through them all again. And the John Cena-Cody Rhodes thing will go down as one of the most intriguing, maybe behind the scenes shifting matches we have ever seen. I don't think it's terrible. Some people call it the worst main event ever. And I don't think that's the case because, again, I think if The Rock had walked down the ring, everybody's opinion would have changed. So I think that's where the disappointment may be coming from. And I agree with you. He should have been there. I understand that he feels differently. And there's always an argument to be had. But I just kind of think if the overwhelming majority of wrestling fans had this idea The Rock was going to be there, he should have been there. Even if it was last minute, even if nobody could agree on the plans, there should just have been some follow-up to what we did at the Elimination Chamber, because it was an all-time turn and it was an all-time angle. But without the follow-up, it's nothing. Again, I don't want to tie it into the New Day because I think they're a GOAT tag team, but there's no way it should have taken till April when they turned in December, which was one of the best heel turns ever. It just, you lose the momentum, and John Cena obviously is going to know how to pick up the momentum. He's got 27 dates left, and I totally believe he'll take on Randy Orton. I totally believe he'll take on CM Punk. I totally believe that there'll be some other people I'm not thinking about, but he'll go back to Cody eventually. Who else could he take on? I think he probably needs a couple of more opponents. We'll have to wait and see. I don't want it all to be nostalgia acts. I like some new people to step up. But WrestleMania 41, I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I do not think it was an all-timer. I don't think it hit sort of any major home runs overall, although there were miniature home runs within it. So yeah, again, you'll probably go watch the Joe Hendry pop. You'll probably go and watch all the other matches that you do enjoy. But some are going to be forgotten about and they are going to be lost to the ether. But then again, you know, Naomi and Jade Cargill, depending on what they do on SmackDown, can keep the fire lit beneath them. And it is sad about Bayley. I mean, she did a Chris Van Vliet interview this week too. And she certainly knew what was coming, and I would say that she certainly was a little bit down in the dumps about it, as everybody would be. But it was a fun one. Like, it was good. Even when you do have chaos and people do make a terrible decision, there is still some worth to that because we all get together and go, rabble, rabble, rabble. But, yeah, maybe not the massive success that I thought it was. Like, my big thing leading into it was, okay, the build hasn't been great, but I think the journey is going to be so good, and that's going to change everything leading up to it. In some aspects, yes. Again, the Roman Reigns triple threat and everything we did afterwards. In other aspects, most definitely no. And it's kind of just there. And man, I want to see what we're going to do with Cody Rhodes. What a bizarre world we're living in. Travis Scott helps John Cena win his record-breaking 17th title by dicking quite literally over Cody Rhodes. You tell me. Now listen, you've had a few days to think about it. Make sure you drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts on the entire WrestleMania season from Friday to Monday. Like the video, share the video, please do subscribe. Otherwise, it's grillermind.com/Simon. Just go to Simon, get 10% off these other supplements you need in your life, I promise you. Simon316 on all social media, Simon J. Miller on TikTok, Simon for a cameo message before my voice goes. You can even have a Simon WrestleMania sucks, so roast it thing, but that would be weird. Pro Wrestling Tees and Big Cartel for merchandise. Now I've got to rest because I'm actually dying inside. I can feel it, plus I'm losing my voice. I appreciate you all. Thank you for all the support. And yeah, I will see you soon.